gentlemen, welcome to tonight's Board of Appeals hearing. Before we begin, to my left is Paul Hennings, counsel to the board. To his left is David Flynn, Assistant Planning Director. To his left is Tom O'Brien, a planner in the Planning Department. To his left is John Bongino, Town Building Director. Now let me tell you why you're here tonight. New York State statute requires that any town that adopts zoning must also have a Board of Appeals to act as a relief valve so that those persons agreed by strict application of the zoning ordinance can seek relief without the expense of going to court. Town Board can give Board of Appeals additional powers such as special exception approvals, site plan approvals, etc. In Smithtown, the Town Board has given this board authority regarding certificate of existing use and some special exception uses. The most common kind of application before the board are area variances. Area variances deal with dimensions such as slide area, frontage, height, setback, and parking spaces. New York State statute mandates the board must consider the following criteria in area variances. When you come to the podium to present your application, you need to address these 5 areas. They're posted here for you. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be reduced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Number 2, whether the applicant has other feasible alternatives. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether an adverse impact on the environment will be created. And number 5, whether an alleged difficulty is self-created. The statute requires the board to balance the interest of the applicant and those of the neighborhood or community. The statute further requires that the board shall grant the minimum variance it shall deem necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The board has the power to impose reasonable conditions for granting variances. Special exception variants are different than area variance. When we have a special exception application before us, I will explain the different criteria. Regarding procedure, cases will be called in order that they are advertised. When your case is called, please come forward, submit your affidavits and mailing receipts to Mr. O'Brien. Then you will be sworn into the podium and you'll be given the opportunity to explain to the board why you need the variance. After the applicant is done speaking, all interested parties will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to be heard. So please organize your thoughts, keep your remarks factual that are related to the case. Then I will ask the applicant to come back to the podium to answer your concerns. The board will then close the case and reserve decision. After all the hearings are closed, the board will review the cases and decide some of them. Others will be reviewed at a later date. There are 3 ways to find out the results of the case. Number 1, you can wait until after the public hearing, but there's no guarantee that the board will act on your case tonight. Number 2, you can call the planning department tomorrow afternoon. And 3, applicants can wait and be notified by mail. I do have one adjournment. Case 16755, Michael and Jill Todd. Was anyone looking for that case? Okay, that has been adjourned to September 25th. Dave, do you mind reading the cases tonight? Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Case 16-748, Frank Demmelhuber, 50 Terry Lane, Carmack, New York. Location, north side Terry Lane, 835 feet east of Ott Lane, Carmack. Property zoned R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 34 feet for a proposed 28 square foot addition and a proposed 28 square foot portico.
May I have your name, please?
My name is Denise Giglio, and I'm power of attorney for Frank Demmelhuber.
Okay, let me just see. You have, where is the power of attorney?
This was,
Could Did you bring it to the council, please?
Yeah, we talked to you about a long time ago, 2 months ago.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it at the,
Oh,
No, that's me.
that's her. Well, I'll do it when they go. Let me see if,
I want to name Heather.
Looks pretty good.
is it all right?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. Let me have your name again and spell your last name.
Denise Gilio, Gigilio,
Your address?
48 Terry Lane, Comac, New York.
All right, raise your right hand, please.
Do I have to say that I want?
She
Okay.
wants me to
I would like Christine.
Just raise your right
Okay.
hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Now, would you like this lady to speak
Yes, I
for
would
you?
like Christine
Okay.
to speak.
Is that all right? Okay. All right, Christine, you need to give me your first and last name and spell your last name.
Christine Tebben, Tebben,
And your address.
286A Belmont Avenue, West Babylon, New York.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the
Yes, I
truth?
do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, you want to tell us why you're here, please?
Sure. Good evening, members of the board. My client is seeking permission to obtain a front yard variance relating to a front vestibule extension as well as a front portico. The proposed variance sought is keeping with the nature and character of the neighborhood. There are other houses in the area that have similar structures, and I have submitted photos to show that. There would be no adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood. The benefit cannot be achieved other than with an area variance. The difficulty is self-created, however, we feel it's not substantial. I'd like the board to consider granting this application.
Okay. I see that you gave us other neighbors, but you know if they have variances for these porticos?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Planning,
no comments, thank you.
gentlemen? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What do you have there?
Can she get the power of attorney back?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Okay. Set? Okay.
Go ahead.
The next case is 16,704.
Otherwise, I need to close it first.
I'm sorry?
I need to close it.
Oh,
this one
that's
first.
what I was wondering, okay.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay. The next case is 16,749, Chiucciolo, Glen and Dawn, 16 Honeysuckle Lane, Kings Park, southwest corner, Honeysuckle Lane, and Jasmine Lane, Kings Park. Zoning, R10 district. Variance to reduce the front yard on Honeysuckle Lane from 40 feet to 36 feet for an existing 160 square foot porch. Reduce the minimum front yard on Jasmine Lane from 40 feet to 5 feet for an existing 6-foot stockade fence. Reduce minimum front yard on Jasmine Lane from 40 feet to 39 feet for an existing 53 square foot hot tub. Decrease the minimum distance from the lot line from 6 feet to 1 foot for an existing 102 square foot shed. Do you want me to?
Have your name, please?
Glenn Chucholo,
And,
and
your address.
16 Honeysuckle Lane, Kings Park, New York.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason I have Mr. Flynn reading tonight is because I didn't know how to pronounce your name.
He did a very good job.
He did a good job. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, good evening to the board. I'm here to ask for your permission to maintain my existing porch, which I had started construction without a permit. I'm here to legalize my rear shed and fence that is in the front yard setback, all built prior structures. The porch is not a substantial request due to the fact that it does not exceed the setback. The fence is in the required front yard, but it does not impede the views of any cars or at the intersection. I am on a corner. Also, since the house is on a corner, the fence allows my family and children to have a safer yard use. Please consider the location of the fence, as you may have visited the location and could see that the fence does not interfere with the neighboring houses. In summary, the variance of these items requested would not impact the neighborhood, and it may increase the value of the houses. In addition, for safety of my children and family, the fence is not a substantial change. And finally, these changes would have no impact on the environment. Thank you for your consideration. I ask the board for a favorable approval on my request.
Planning?
No comments, thank you.
Gentlemen?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
She has to ask if there's anybody who wishes to be heard. I don't know. I wanted to ask her to,
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application?
the case that she recused herself.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, the next case is 16,750. Michael Serrano, 3 Garden Street, Nesconset. Location, southeast corner of Garden Street and Eklund Boulevard, Nesconset. Property zoned R10 district. Variance to reduce accessory structure setback from 6 feet to 2 feet for an existing 100 square foot shed. Reduce front yard setback from 25 feet to 0 feet for an existing 5-foot fence.
Did you
I think you
bring
need
your-
these.
Right here. And where are your green cards? And you sent out the notice, yep? Okay. Yep, everything, please.
Right here.
Right there. Okay, let me have your name, please,
Michael Andrew Serrano,
and your address, Michael.
3 Garden Street, Wisconsin, Long Island, New York, 11767.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
I have to explain from the beginning when I moved there in '03. The original fences were pine. It's a corner house. I replaced 3 of the fences. The 4th fence is facing Eklund Boulevard, which is a major thoroughfare, and I want to convert it to a 5-foot fence.
Use the mic as much as you can, please.
There is already a 5-foot fence standing there, but it's falling apart. And I want to replace it with a vinyl fence, which I've done to the other 3 sides of the house legally.
Okay. And you're putting a 5-foot fence up?
There is a 5-foot
Yeah,
fence.
but you're
up.
replacing it with a 5-foot.
I'm replacing it with a 5-foot fence.
You want to tell us about the shed?
The sheds, there are 2 sheds. One was there when I bought the house. And the other shed, I asked for permission from the Smithtown board to put a 5-footer or a 5 or 7-footer, which is there now presently. And I was assessed $200 each and was paid for. I had
Planning?
an expediter do all this for me.
Okay.
Mr. Gleason, you probably know.
Planning?
No comments, thank you.
Gentlemen, nothing?
No comment.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
It's regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
The next case is 16,751. John Salakane, 16A Mackinac Beach Road, Northport, New York. Location, west side of Sharon Court, 122 feet north of Ardmore Place, Kings Park. Property zoned R10 district. Variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 38 feet for a proposed portico and porch overhang, 114 square feet.
The location, though, of the house is 19 Sharon Court, just so you know that. May I have your name, please?
John Salacane, S-A-L-A-C-A-I-N.
And your address, John? Your address?
My home address is 16A Mackinac Beach Road, Northport, New York.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Want to tell us why you're here?
We propose to build a porch and portico on the front of the house, but it infringes on the setback by 2 feet. Rather than 40, it would now be 38 feet. We're seeking a variance to do that. And the reason we want to do it is to enhance the look of the house. It's probably one of the older, unimproved houses in the neighborhood, so we thought this would be a good improvement, give it some curb appeal.
Planning?
No comment, thank you.
Gentlemen? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application?
Right.
All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, the next case is 16752. The ad seems to have a typographic error in it, but I suspect it's Connor and Valerie McCluskey, 6 Amapola Lane, Kings Park, New York. Location, northwest corner of Amapola Lane and Sagebrush Lane, Kings Park. Property zoned R10. Variance to reduce the accessory structure setback from 6 feet to 2 feet for an existing 120 square foot shed. Increase fence height from 4 feet to 8 feet for an existing retaining wall and fence. Reduce setback between fence and top of retaining wall from 4 feet to 0 feet. Reduce front yard setback from 40 feet to 1 feet for an existing retaining wall and fence. Reduce retaining wall setback from 8 feet to 1 foot. Increased paved surface in rear yard from 25% to 57%.
May I have your name, please?
Yes, my name is Sharon O'Brien. My address is 54 Miller Place, Middle Island Road, Mount Sinai, New York.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. She handed you a... Yes, that's fine. Good. Okay.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. As previously stated, I'm Sharon O'Brien, and I am here on behalf of Valerie McCluskey Connors. She is the homeowner of 6 Amapola Lane in Kings Park, which is the subject of this application. We are before you this evening to maintain a shed, retaining wall with an estate fence atop, and pavers in the rear yard. All of these situations were existing when Valerie purchased her home August 26, 2011. The previous owner had represented that all the undocumented situations would be straightened out before the closing. At the closing, when he reneged on the deal, Valerie, in the midst of a divorce, had no place to move her family. So she closed on the house and inherited these problems. As you can see from the pictures I submitted, the block retaining wall and the estate fence atop were very tastefully done. The height of the block wall is 3.4, and with the 4-foot estate fence atop, the total height is 8 feet when 6 feet is permitted. The relief sought is only 2 feet. The wall and fence were installed due to the incline of the property in that location. The fence is positioned approximately 50 feet from the corner so the wall and fence are not causing a visibility problem. Also, looking at the aerial I submitted, the board can see the driveway of the neighbor contiguous to the west is located on the opposite side of the property. Plus, there are sidewalks all along Sagebrush Lane, allowing further visibility. I have also submitted copies of a survey with the pavers highlighted in yellow. If the board would notice, there is approximately 3 feet of property with a green buffer along the pavers to the west property line, so there is no drainage problem. Also, the height of the property to the west behind the pool almost equals out in height in the pool area. Giving consideration to the pavers as opposed to concrete around the pool, the pavers provide 20% better drainage, whereas concrete would have little or no drainage value. And to remove the pavers would be a great financial hardship. By maintaining the structures as they stand, we are not adversely affecting the environment because the property is not in an environmentally sensitive area, and we feel we have increased property values due to the tasteful way the improvements were done. We are hopeful that the board will agree and grant our requests.
Okay. I'm assuming that that estate fence is staying there.
They would like to maintain it.
No, I'm saying that you're not replacing that fence.
No,
where it
ma'am.
was. All right. Would there be any objection if we put a condition saying that it stays as an estate fence?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Planning?
No comments, thank you.
Gentlemen?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's really moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next case is 16,753 M&V Properties, 117 Jericho Turnpike, Commack, New York. Location, north side of Jericho Turnpike, 1,210 feet east of Kings Park Road, Commack. Property zoned, WSI District. Variance to reduce minimum parking setback from any lot line from 6 feet to 0 feet. Reduce minimum front yard parking setback from 20 feet to 10 feet. Reduce minimum front yard setback from 5 feet to 0 feet for a ground sign.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. My office is at 1038 West Jericho Turnpike, Smithtown, New York. With respect to the first parking setback variance on the east property line, I know that some of you members were at the property. Right next to where we're asking for a 0 parking setback is state property. It's a right-of-way to get to a sump in the rear. My client tells me that he's never seen any state people go back there, but even if they did, it's not an encroachment that would have any substantial effect on the state. The parking setback from the front property line from 20 to 10, that's the nature of the way the building was constructed. Many years ago, it was I think a print shop, and before that it was used for various retail type uses. My client took it over a number of years ago and gradually is trying to bring it up to all the town codes. Finally, there's a setback from 5 feet to 0 request for a ground sign. Now this comes about because the state took property along Jericho Turnpike, and when they did that, the the sign, which was set back years ago, became a zero setback, given the fact that the state took the property. So we don't feel that these requests are substantial. They don't create an undesirable effect on the character of the neighborhood. In fact, it's an improvement to what was there. Can the benefit sought by some other means? Not really. The building exists, so we kind of have to work around the building. You do have your site plan there, and you can see the bushes that are plantings that are in the rear of the property. There are certain drainage issues which we went over with the engineering department, and they're comfortable with how we're going to eventually finish up the site plan. We don't believe that any of these requests are substantial. Would it have an adverse effect on the environment? No, it's a limousine business. They actually park their inventory there, and when they're used, they're taken out and, of course, brought back to the site. Was the alleged difficulty self-created? Well, I guess he bought the building, and knowing the type of wood frame building and structure and where it was located, there were variances that he needed from the get-go. However, we think all of these variances that we're requesting are not unreasonable, and we ask the board for its favorable consideration.
Just a couple of things, Mr. Tramarko. Number one, you know we were at the site. There's a lot of outdoor storage. I believe that's not permitted there.
Outdoor storage?
No. There's a van there. I don't know what that van is. That's all. All these things in the pictures here, is this all permitted? I don't believe it is. Dave, did you?
Well, outdoor storage is permitted as a customary accessory use in the zone. I think what you're saying is that the outdoor storage is not related to the limousine establishment?
Yes.
Well, some of the outdoor storage is related. I don't know what you're looking at, so I can't comment on it. Did you say a van, motor vehicle van?
Yeah, an auto wash van or something that looks like. I hate to have you walk. Is this something, or I don't know what these things are.
You're right. We'll get rid of that.
Okay. And the other thing is, we called today. Do you have, I don't know, there's a sign not facing a public street. Do you have a variance for that already?
No, we were called on that. I think Tom must have called yesterday.
Correct, yeah.
And we chose to move ahead with this. I haven't been able to speak to my client, but unless we get a variance, we'll take it down.
Okay, then you'll come back for that if you need to.
Yes.
Okay. Planning?
That covered all our concerns.
Gentlemen?
No, but
Anything you need? Anything else? Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
so moved. Second.
Readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Okay, next case, 16754, Richard Friedrich, 47 Dorothy Lane, Kings Park, New York. Location, southwest corner of Dorothy Avenue and Boxwood Drive, Kings Park. Property zoned R10 district. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet, 37 feet existing, to 37 feet for an existing 480 square foot deck. permit an accessory structure in the front yard and reduce the front yard setback from 40 feet to 22 feet for an existing 80 square foot shed.
May I have your name, please?
Yes, good evening. My name is Kathleen Daniels Chandra. I'm the attorney for Joan and Richard Friedrich. My address is 5 Wesleyan Court, Smithtown, New York, 11787. Mr. and Mrs. Friedrich are seeking a variance for the deck and the shed. This is a corner piece of property. The deck is a rear deck, but it is 90% on level ground. It's just due to the slope of the property. About 10% of it is more than 18 inches above ground. It has no impact on the environment. It is an improvement in the neighborhood and actually improves the value of the house. We're only asking for a 3-foot setback for the deck, actually. And it would be difficult to remove because it is a very nice backyard and it's very nicely landscaped. And we request that the board grant the variance.
Planning?
No comments, thank you.
Gentlemen? Yes, anything? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Regularly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
The next case that's on the calendar has been adjourned. That case is 16-755, Michael and Jill Todd, and it's adjourned till September 25th. The next case to be heard tonight is case number 16-756, John and Jeanette Cuda, 10 Floral Lane, St. James, New York. Location, south side of Floral Lane, 214 feet west of Bayberry Drive, St. James. Property zoned R10. The request is a variance to reduce the distance from any lot line from 6 feet to 0 feet for an existing 200 square foot shed to increase maximum side yard paving from 25% to 52%. Reduce paving distance from lot line from 1 foot to 0 feet. Reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 8 feet for an existing 200 square foot deck. Reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 10 feet for an existing 119 square foot first floor addition. Reduce total side yard from 28 feet to 24 feet for an existing 26 square foot first floor addition and 200 square foot deck. Reduce total side yard from 28 feet to 26 feet for an existing 119 square foot first floor addition.
This is the old. This is that. Okay. May I have your name, please?
John Cuda,
And your address, John?
10 Floral Lane, St. James.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do,
Would you like this gentleman to speak for you?
yes.
Okay.
John Gleason, architect, 336 6th Avenue, St. James.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
We're here to discuss the Cuda residence. We're going to, obviously, what Mr. Flynn had read, we have a multiple listing of items that need to be maintained on the property. The house was added on with a couple various additions, but the additions do not exceed the actual existing overhangs of the house. I'm sure you're familiar with the St. James Estates development built in the mid to late 60s. There were ranch houses with low roof lines, large eaves in the rear and the sides of the house. Mr. Cuda just had basically enlarged the footprint of the house under the existing eaves. Even though the surveys don't have measurements from the eaves and the soffits, naturally most of them don't, the survey setbacks are measured from the foundations and overhangs. So I just wanted the board to be aware of what actually the additions comprise of. The rear shed is, I know it's listed as 0 feet. It's a little bit, not really 0 feet, maybe 6 to 8 inches off the rear property line. And I just wanted to note to the board that the rear yard of the property backs up to a Smithtown recharge basin. So there is really no neighbor there that the shed affects, and it's fairly, has a big setback off the side yard, so the property to the east of the house isn't really affected by the shed at all. The paved area is a remodel with new interlocking pavers, as you can see by the photos I had submitted with the application. And I submitted some photos tonight from the records of Mr. Cuda that show original bluestone slate paving that was installed with the house back in 1970. You can see actually the photograph dated 1970. So you can see that the patio is always there since the house was built, and now it's been replaced with modern pavers. And I'm not really sure when the code came into effect, but I'm not sure if they had a paving percentage code back in 1970. So while we're going through some items on the property, this came up to maintain the paving in the side yard as well. I don't think it really bothers any neighbors. It's all fenced in, and it looks pretty attractive. You can see by the photographs. I just asked the board to look favorably on the application if there's any questions.
I just have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Looking at the survey, it looks like you have 2 driveways in the front. You have 2 curb cuts?
There's 2 curb cuts. They were both approved by the highway department. There's a believe it or not, there's a trailer into in the front yard on a paved driveway. Yep.
Okay, planning?
No comments, thank you.
Gentlemen?
No question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Was there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
It's readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
The next case is 16757, 98 Maple LLC, 98 Maple Avenue, Smithtown, New York. Location, west side of Maple Avenue, 200 feet north of Bowers Court, Smithtown. Property zoned OB district. The request is, I'm sorry? You sure? Sorry. I think it's OB, but it may be CB. We could find out for sure, but it's either OB or CB district.
No, it is OB. This is incorrect.
Okay. OB stands for office business? Yeah. The request is a variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 50 feet to 27 feet for a first floor addition. Increase maximum gross floor area of lot from 30% to 35%. Reduce minimum parking spaces from 179 to 151. Reduce minimum parking setback for north side yard from 6 feet to 4 feet. Reduce minimum landscaped area from 20% to 16%. Reduce minimum parking setback in the front yard from 50 feet to 25 feet.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I have offices at 1038 West Jericho Turnpike, Smithtown, New York. I guess some of you, maybe all of you, are familiar with this building. It's been standing vacant for approximately 10 years. And it's not a vagabond-type building at all. It's been kept in good shape. It's a masonry building. but for whatever reason, the prior owners never moved forward with their proposal to rent out space, and it was to rent out space to some medical. Well, a couple of things that this board should know. Number one, we're in contract with the Polish Cemetery to buy TDRs in order to allow the tenants to be medical tenants. Maybe not all, but probably at least 50 or 80%, but we will conform to the health department requirement. In 2002, this board rendered a decision which basically said that there shouldn't be any medical there. Well, I think that was for a couple of reasons. You were concerned about parking and also concerned about what the health department would do. However, I think we've accomplished, would be able to alleviate your concerns. One, as I said, health department, we're getting TDRs. And also, the little building, I believe it's to the north, Ed Miller, the attorney, we're under contract and ready to close, depending upon what this board does, to buy his building. You can see, if Carmine, if you would come up and just point out where Ed's building is.
This is Ed's building right here. This is the subject building. Right now, the existing property line is right here, separating the two.
In addition, the request from 179 to 151 is really to 156, but at the suggestion of the planning department, those spaces which are shown on the Miller property, I believe there were 5 spaces, are not going to be built. The percentage of reduction in the required parking from 2002, which was about 35%, is now about 14 to 15%. So we've taken care of the 2 issues that I think concern the board the most. The setback to the north side from 6 to 4.9 feet. It's all a commercial area there, so we don't believe anybody would be affected. Minimum landscaped area from 20% to 16.8%. Again, not substantial. Reduce minimum parking setback in the front yard from 50 to 25. Well, that's the way the building was built. Also, one of the reasons that we are asking for a 27.4-inch front yard setback is because there is a second and third floor already. We just want to build the first floor. And I guess that variances were gotten years ago to build the building that way, but I guess the rule is that we still have to come for the first floor variance. So again, we don't think that any of these are substantial. They certainly aren't going to create an undesirable change. They're going to make a desirable change, given the fact that it's been vacant for 10 years. I don't know what the taxes are, or if they're even paying taxes, but certainly that's going to be tenanted, and it's going to be a viable building, and that's important in the town of Smithtown. Whether the benefits sought can be achieved by some other method. No, it really can't. If this board decides not to grant these variances, we'd be hard-pressed to rent the building to people, to non-medical professionals. There just isn't a market. It seems that the medical profession is dominating the market for tenants in this economy and climate. Parking setback on the north side, again, is not substantial. Well, none of the variances are substantial. Whether there is an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. This is a big plus for the neighborhood and a big plus for Maple Avenue. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, well, we didn't create it. We bought this building with the intent of making it work, and with the help of the board, we hope to be able to do that. This is something that my client has worked long and hard on. He's had to buy development rights, and you know that the Polish Cemetery doesn't sell those rights cheaply. He's bought Ed Miller's property, so we've done everything we can to make this a viable application and something that this board could approve without any question. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. DeMarco, you know that there is no action tonight. There's no secret. So I don't know how the TDRs, did you, you purchased it already and the health department is aware of this?
Oh, the health department is aware. We're in the process of...
And you did that?
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as we get the secret?
Okay. The other thing, I guess you'd have to rule on the covenant, because in the last decision, you required us to file
Restricted
a
covenant?
restrictive covenant, yeah.
And the restricted covenant says?
That do not pertain to any profession involving medical practice. So we have to eliminate that.
This being a new application, kind of supersede that one? Or would that still stand?
You need a unanimous.
Question for council.
Not sure, I'd have to look into that.
I'm sorry.
I said.
We'll look into that. I'll look into see if we can.
The question is that perhaps because this is a new application, it may supersede that one altogether, because the entire application is before us again.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I asked the question that perhaps because the entire application is before us again, it may actually supersede that, and it may not need a ruling on our part.
I don't know how that would be, because if it's mostly medical.
Did they file the covenant already?
Oh, the covenant's filed, I guess,
From
since
2002.
2002.
2002 we did the covenant.
So would that have to be brought before the board then?
Well, the way I see it is a board can't act without there being notice in the hearing, and there is no notice for that. However, I think Mr. Tanzi brings up the concept that this is really a new application and not the modification of an earlier decision. If such is the case, then no formal vote needs to be taken on modifying the old decision. Maybe if the board approves this, you might state that it's your intention and belief that this is in effect a new application, and that the requirement for the old requirement for the covenant is moot. Something like that. I mean, I'm not saying to do that, but
Yeah.
we have a situation where...
And we don't need a unanimous decision then to do that.
Correct.
Okay.
But I think that what Mr. Tremarco is concerned about, is that unless you take some form of written action on that, other entities will say it's still in effect.
Okay.
If I might volunteer, I think that the requests are sort of substantial, and it is self-created. It's basically a 20% reduction in the requirement, and the person obviously was going into this knowing what the restrictions are. However, I would recommend approval. I don't think there'd be any adverse effect on the area. It would probably be beneficial. It'd probably be beneficial for downtown Smithtown to have a few dozen medical workers a block from town. The parking variance would probably work out well, based on my experience in sometimes counting parking stalls at office buildings. there's very unlikely that there would be not enough parking to handle the floor area. I think, as Mr. Tramarko said, it wouldn't change the character of the area. They're really filling in the portion of the building that was never built. I think the building originally goes back to about 1960 or 63, somewhere in that area.
I think so too.
It probably would look, to most people's eyes, better to have the building the way they're proposing it than the way it does now.
Gentlemen, is there any other comments?
No comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Come on up. Let me have your name and address and spell your last name.
My name is Jeff Schwartz, SCHWARZ, and my office is at 100 Maple Avenue. It's the property immediately south of the questioned property.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do. We have a couple of issues here. This is not a new situation. We were here about 8 or 10 years ago. I've seen some of the familiar faces.
Right.
From my understanding, and I have a couple of questions that are a little unclear with the, after the presentation here, this work has already been done, am I not?
I don't know, I'll ask. Go ahead. Give me
Okay,
all your
the
concerns and
original,
I'll-
the idea is that this work was done, and the reason for the last hearing apparently was this work was done without a permit, and there were 3 or 4 open issues with the building department. I believe it's 106-704, dated October 2000, 108-946, dated August of 2001, 108-669, July of 2001. 2 of them are requesting a site plan and a CO. Nothing has been CO'd at all. This work apparently was done, and I'm wondering if this application is on the work that was already done, and some of this questioning or debate about what it might do to the neighborhood is kind of, again, a moot point because it's already done. I am absolutely interested in having a nice Maple Avenue. This is a white elephant of a piece of property as it is. There was some concern about 10 years ago about what kind of tenants they may have. There was an understanding that it was difficult to rent, and that is why it has been vacant for the last 10 years. So those 2 questions are there. The biggest concern we had 10 years ago was the amount of traffic. This property, prior to the renovation, the work that was done, was an existing office building with a 2nd and 3rd floor and an empty 1st floor.
Right.
And the tenants at 100 Maple Avenue experienced an overflow of traffic from that building at that time into our parking lot. That caused a problem because we are a medical and physical therapy office in that building. Many of our patients are unable to ambulate a great distance. And at that time, there was also concern from our residential neighbors about traffic and possible parking and problems immediately outside that building. So those are the questions we have standing, and I request that the planning board take those previous filings and give us a decision that's all-encompassing so we know where we stand with that.
Well, right now, there's not going to be any decision, and we will make a decision after we have everything in. Okay?
Is there any more information that the board would like from the neighbors that might help them make a better decision?
No, I think we are
Thank
able
you.
to make a decision. Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up. May I have your name, please?
My name is Ronald Roth. I am a physician. I've been in 100 Maple Avenue,
All right. First of all, spell your last name,
ROTH.
okay? And your address.
Well, the business address, 100 Maple Avenue, Smithtown. 11787.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I've been operating my medical practice in that building since 1980. During that time, 98 Maple Avenue had been quite busy. They had quite a bit of parking, but in spite of that, we had problems with parking where there was overflow into our parking lot. We had to employ a towing service. We had to, be unkind to certain people. It was just never a pleasant experience. Then the new building was built, and they wanted to build an extra floor for more tenants and less parking. And that's what I'm seeing here today. And to me, the biggest problem is the parking. I mean, if they can get Mr. Miller to buy his property and allow parking there, I think that would be great. But the way it stands now to reduce the parking is going to put a burden, an unfair burden, on my practice. We've never had my patients going into their parking lot.
Okay.
And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Come on up, please. Let me have your name and spell your last name.
Yeah, my name is Craig Haft, H-A-F-T. I'm at 97 Maple Avenue.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. I live across the street from the building at 97 Maple Avenue. That's where my home is. And I live there with my 2 young children. And the property was described as mostly a commercial area, but truth be told that I'm the first house after the Garden Apartments and a litany of medical buildings and services along that street. And the rest of the street is all residential, including my neighbors and the ones over on Bowers Court. My house is the first private home south of Main Street after a litany of professional buildings, mostly medical services, and a garden apartment complex. You all know Maple Avenue is a double yellow line, single lane in each direction, with no emergency lane on either side. The traffic on North Maple Avenue, where I live, has a unique traffic pattern, primarily due to the office buildings adjacent to my property. The U-turn phenomenon is rampant as patients and customers searching for their doctor's office and MRI and X-ray facilities. These drivers, apparently visiting for the first time on a one-time treatment, find themselves confused by the non-sequential numbering of the properties on this part of Maple Avenue, and they often need to make U-turns after they have passed their destination. As it currently exists, I've had to put up orange cones while my children play in the driveway, basketball, skateboarding, playing hockey, and I had to put up these cones to keep the children safe. And on several occasions, my cones have been run over by these confused drivers. Also, at our morning bus stop, which is adjacent to 98 Maple Avenue, we have other hazardous conditions. As our children are picked up and dropped off on their daily commute to school, I cannot imagine the melee that will ensue as the bus driver stops to pick up our children. Traffic is stopped along the busy roadway, and now we have to deal with cars going into 98 Maple Avenue, not finding enough parking spots, and exiting out their single driveway, contributing to an already dangerous situation. This is my second time here before the board with regards to this matter. Not much has changed at the property since last time, except for some apparent cesspool work in the back. The owners appear to ask for special consideration from their neighbors and this board. After their initial entree into this community was without any basic considerations for our neighborhood and without any common decency to obey the laws and guidelines sent forth by our community leaders to protect our citizens and our quality of life. Originally, I was excited to see work being done to clean up the property at 98 Maple Avenue. However, I felt betrayed to find out the new owners did not obtain the correct permits and variances with the Town of Smithtown Building Department prior to construction. Apparently, the owners felt empowered to disregard our rules and our laws. It would appear they felt entitled to come in, do whatever they want, to increase their maximum square footage to maximize profits with total disregard to its neighboring families and businesses and disrespect for our zoning laws and planning board. The sad part is this business would have been up and running years ago if they would have followed the rules of our community in the first place. I applaud and appreciate this board's steadfast commitment to the quality of life for its citizens and our community on Maple Avenue. I therefore encourage this board to deny the variances. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? I have one more person. Is there anyone else, please? Okay. You'll be the last one. Thank you. Your name, please?
My name is Steve Hellerman,
Spell your last name?
Hellerman.
Okay. Your address?
103 Maple Avenue.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Use the mic as much as you
Okay.
can.
I own the
It looks like-
residential home directly across the street as well,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to add my voice in expressing concern about some of the conditions that my previous neighbors have expressed.
Okay. Thank you so much. Mr. Tramarko.
First off, it's true that there are some permits that are outstanding. Carmine tells me that they have been renewed. Maybe some of them are kind of in abeyance right now, but they did take out permits for the work that was done. One of the concerns that the neighbors have with respect to parking, when the variance in 2002, the request was from 118 to 76 spaces.
Right.
Now, we're so much more than that. We're at,
Excuse me. No, absolutely not. Sorry. No.
If there's an inaccuracy, that's
Excuse
not-
me, you do not talk from the, right. Excuse me. I'm asking you, you do not call out from the audience. Okay? You had your opportunity. Thank you. And be respectful if you don't mind. Thank you so much.
I forgot what I was saying now. I'm going to have to
As far
think
as the
about it.
parking is,
The parking in 2002 was 76 spaces, the request 276, and it was granted. However, today, we have 151 spaces, about double, a little more than double, the amount of spaces that we had in 2002. So I think that certainly speaks to the fact that the new owner of the property is trying to do the best he can so that all the parking is contained on the subject property and doesn't spill over to the other medical medical offices, I guess, to the south. We also are mindful that there are residential neighbors, and the fact is that there are medical buildings all along the west side and office buildings, so it's kind of difficult to change that at this point in time. But whatever my client can do to make it better for the residential neighbors, he certainly will. Thank you.
all right? I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
There was one
Oh.
question from the audience that I don't think was addressed. Mr. Tramarko?
Good.
One question from the audience, I think, was, is the work, I think I know the answer, but perhaps for their edification, is the work completed and you're legalizing it, or is there additional work that is being proposed?
This is all new work.
Thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Israeli moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay.
Okay, the next case is 16758 Whitford Development, Inc., 646 Main Street, Port Jefferson, New York. Location, north side of Pine Acre Drive, 556 feet east of Meadow Road, Smithtown. Property zoned R21. Request variance to increase the maximum paved surface in the front yard from 25% to 27%.
Location is 18 Pine Acre Drive. May I have your name, please?
Oops. My name is Victor Irizarry. Office is at 646 Main Street, Port Jefferson, New York.
And are you an officer of this corporation?
I am the president of Whitford Development, yes.
Okay, good, good.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and board members. This is a new home construction, which we recently obtained a C of O. We complied with all the requirements to obtain that CO, with the exception of an expansion of the driveway to create a turnaround. The reason for this is that there is no street parking on that road and also a line of sight issue. There's a hill from Meadow Road all the way to the property that makes it hard to see oncoming traffic. I believe yes, I did give you some pictures. I think you have pictures of the signage in front of the building. It's also common in this area for all the homes to have off-street parking. There is no environmental impact, and I think there is a benefit to the community in that school buses, neighbors, as well as the new homeowners will be protected from accidents by having the cars off the street. This would be certainly a benefit to the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Planning?
Nothing. No thanks.
Gentlemen?
No question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second?
It's readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, the next case is 16759 Allen Estates LLC, care of Lamb and Barnosky LLC, 534 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 210, Melville, New York. Location, north side of Jericho Turnpike, 558 feet east of Syracuse Boulevard, Smithtown. Property zoned WSI. Request variance to reduce the minimum parking spaces from 37 to 26, to reduce minimum truck loading spaces from 1 to 0, permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered, slopes greater than 15%, permit a structure within 10 feet of environmentally sensitive lands, slopes greater than 15%, reduce minimum buildable lot area from 20,000 square feet to 17,359 square feet. Actual lot area is 34,359 square feet. Reduce the minimum side yard parking setback from 6 feet to 5 feet, and increase the height of a retaining wall from 6 feet to 7 feet.
Again, let me just give you the exact location. It's 358 Betts Memorial Highway.
No, Madam Chairman, no, Madam Chair, the exact location of the premises is actually not numbered, and it's on Jericho Turnpike, about 558 feet east of Syracuse Boulevard.
Is that it? And there's no...
There's no number. It's a vacant parcel of property. If you look at Exhibit B on...
All right.
Exhibit 2, I'm sorry, on the paperwork that I provided to you, you'll see there's an asterisk on the vacant parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Kathleen Allen. I'm an attorney with the firm of Lamb & Barnosky, LLP, with offices located at 534 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 210, Melville, New York, 11747. And I'm here this evening on behalf of the applicant, Allen Estates, LLC, the owner of the subject premises. Allen Estates, LLC is proposing to build a one-story medical office building on the vacant property, and an undesirable change will not be produced in the character of the neighborhood,
nor will there be any detriment to the nearby properties by the granting of the area variances sought. As I indicated, the parcel is currently vacant property and has been, as far as I know, it's never, ever been built upon. The doctors are proposing to build, the applicant's proposing to build a 4,720 square foot, one-story building on the premises with 2,360 square foot of basement storage area. The medical office building would be occupied by Dr. Mark Allen, who's an internist, and his wife, Dr. Jennifer McMonigal, who's a neurologist, and they are here this evening as well. The doctors currently lease medical offices at 358 Veterans Memorial Highway in Comac, which is approximately 1 mile away. They have been in practice for almost 10 years, and they have a very loyal following of patients that are primarily from the Comac, Hauppauge, and Smithtown areas. And there are several reasons why the doctors want to build. First and foremost, it's extremely close to their current offices. Secondly, it's also convenient to their home. Both of them reside in Fort Salonga, which is in the town of Smithtown. It's accessible to their existing patients and convenient to both the parkways and Jericho Turnpike. The doctors have been very successful in their practices, and they want to continue to grow their practice and feel that they can certainly do that in this proposed medical office building. And lastly, they'd like to own instead of rent. A medical building is consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and the variances sought in connection with this application are consistent with and will not involve any change in the essential character of the zone district. As you're aware, the zoning of the district is WSI, and the common pattern of development is commercial office buildings, strip shopping centers, and fast food locations along Jericho Turnpike, bordered in the rear by a residential zoned premises. To the east of the premises is a strip shopping center. To the west is a commercial building in the front with several other structures on the property. I believe it's for rent right now. I don't believe that it's occupied. To the north are residential premises, and to the south across Jericho Turnpike are law offices. There are a number of other medical office buildings in the area. At 1077 West Jericho Turnpike, there's a pediatrician's office. At 1065, there's a chiropractor's office. At 987, there's a radiology office. 989, there's a surgery center. So clearly, medical office building is certainly within the character of the neighborhood. Several of the buildings also have similar slopes and retaining walls in their backyards, and I've attached as exhibits some photographs of the existing retaining walls at the other parcels. The benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible other than by area variances. First of all, the slope in the rear of the premises has been in existence for many years. It would not be feasible to develop the property if the applicant wouldn't be permitted to build within the environmentally sensitive land. As do most of the parcels in the area, the elevation in the rear of the property is sloped. From the rear of the premises, it starts out about 106 feet above sea level. Up to the crest of the slope is about 130 feet, which is why there's a tiered retaining wall would be required on the property. With respect to the residential zone at the top of the slope, it wouldn't cause any detriment to the residents living up there because the building would be on ground level with Jericho Turnpike. The roof of the building, since it's a one-story building, would be approximately 10 to 20 feet below the crest of the slope. So the residents, when looking out their backyards, would still see clear across Jericho Turnpike, which is their current view. And in addition, there would be a 20-foot buffer between the rear of the residential premises and the highest retaining wall on the premises that would not be disturbed. So there would be a buffer there. There are also a number of other parcels in the surrounding vicinity that have applied for and have been granted variances. For example, they're environmentally sensitive land with slopes that are greater than 15% to be altered. permitting structures to be built within 10 feet of the environmentally sensitive land, and also permitting height of retaining walls to be increased. For example, back in 2003, at 1077 West Jericho Turnpike, the Board of Zoning Appeals granted these 3 variances and others to the owner of that premises. And in that circumstance, the retaining wall variance that was requested was 12 feet from 6 feet, whereas we're only requesting a variance of 7 feet for the lowest wall on the property, for the wall on the ground of the property. The requested area variances are not substantial with respect to reducing the minimum required truck loading space from 1 to 0. Medical office buildings don't, this particular medical office building will not require any truck loading space. And also with respect to the building within 10 feet of environmentally sensitive lands, reducing the minimum buildable lot area from 20,000 square feet to 17,359 square feet, where the actual lot area is 34,359 feet, which is a 13% reduction in minimum lot size. And increasing the retaining wall from 6 feet to 7 feet is about a 14% variance, and reducing the minimum parking setback to side lot line from 6 feet to 5 feet would be a 16% variance. I know that that last variance is one that has been requested, although I was notified today that that variance may not in fact be necessary. The denial was issued from the building department with that noted, but in looking at the plans today with the engineer and the surveyor, it was brought to my attention that it will be a 6-foot, it's designed currently for a 6-foot setback and not a 5-foot setback. In any event, the proposed parking lot is consistent with the strip center parking lot located directly to the east of the premises. The parking is planned to be in front of the premises and to the east of the building, providing accessible parking for the doctor's patients. And with respect to the variance concerning the reduction in parking spaces from 37 spaces to 26 spaces, 26 parking spaces for the proposed use is ample. In addition to the 2 doctors, they have an office manager and a nurse practitioner. At any given time, they typically have between 4 to 5 patients in their offices and 4 to 5 patients in their waiting room. So accordingly, since it's anticipated that 12 to 14 parking spaces will be occupied at any given time, the proposed 26 parking spaces appear to be ample. In addition, their practice is by appointment only, so they don't see drop-in patients. As indicated previously, the grant of the variances requested will not have an adverse impact upon the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. The proposed use of the premises is less intensive than other permitted uses, such as a fast food restaurant, and the proposed area variances are less than those that have been granted to similar neighboring properties, such as the 12-foot retaining walls at 1077 West Jericho Turnpike. Furthermore, the proposed medical office building will benefit the town of Smithtown by providing convenient medical services to the residents of the town of Smithtown, and also obviously creating additional tax revenue. With respect to whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, the difficulty is primarily caused by the configuration of the lot and the existing slope, which is not self-created. While it could be argued that our client's choice to build a medical office building and improve the premises is self-created, nevertheless, we feel that the applicant's difficulty, even if it was self-created, should not preclude the board from granting the area variances requested. And for all of the foregoing reasons, we urge the board to approve our client's application. Thank you very much.
Planning?
We do have a concern. The use is good. It's just that the last time that a variance was granted to alter environmentally sensitive lands on Jericho Turnpike, a disaster resulted.
Yes, we know that.
Where it was similar to this with respect to, I think, the retaining wall. In that situation, was further from the property line, but when they excavated, it became an eyesore and actually undermined the adjacent residential property. With that in mind, I would encourage the board to either get the town engineer's
Okay.
approval or analysis, or if the board approves this, to have a condition of approval that a certain buffer be left in its natural state and that it be demonstrated prior to site plan approval that it would actually stay in its natural state. That last one, I think they were supposed to keep 16 feet
Right.
in in its natural state, and not only was that buffer destroyed, it went in a few feet into the neighbor's side yard.
I guess, too, also that the engineering department would establish if they're excavating the correct way. I mean,
Right.
or the company would be, what company they're using?
I don't know, but the proposed walls here are different, but the geology is probably similar. You can see that in the 1980s, apparently there were successful excavations on the north side of Jericho Turnpike to put in businesses, and there were successful ones on the south side. But for some reason in 2012, one on the south side was really quite a problem.
But that was, that wall was much higher than this 6 foot.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
I am familiar with the wall that you're referring to, and this wall certainly is, the wall that's proposed here is very different than that particular wall. And in recognition of there being a concern by the board, my client did have a soil sampling test conducted at the premises by PW Grosser Consulting, and I will share this with you as well, which does indicate in here that a tiered gravity retaining wall is a viable type of earth retaining structure in this situation, and does obviously recommend the appropriate shoring and other things as well, which I'll be happy to share with you.
I'll just put this in the file. All right, Dave, then you can look at this.
Excuse me?
Afterwards, you can look at this. if you
Sure.
want. Okay. Gentlemen, is there any questions here?
No.
No,
No question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing. You know
So-
there's no decision tonight. Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Really moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Okay. Okay, the next cases, the rest of the cases for this evening are cases that were adjourned from earlier meetings of the board. The first case is 16-711. Julio Pina, 274 Pulaski Road, Kings Park, New York. Location, south side of Pulaski Road, 125 feet east of Johnson Avenue, Kings Park. Property zoned R10 district. The request, variance to increase the size of an accessory structure in the rear yard from 750 square feet to approximately 1,776 square feet. Increase the size of accessory structure in rear yard from 15 feet to approximately 18 feet. It says size, but it means height. Increase the size of an accessory structure in the rear yard from 1 story to 2 stories. Again, it says size, but it means height.
And your name?
Hi, my name is Bill Majorkirth. Mr. Pena, I work for Mr. Pena and Mr. Kuhn. They could not make it this evening, and their lawyer could not be here. He wants 2 more weeks to put together some sort of, way to defend this situation. The existing structure was there when they bought the home. I know a little bit about it.
understand
I'm not a legal representative.
Right.
I just work for them.
Let me
I
just
have-
tell you,
I have the paperwork that was the mailings were done. That's all he was giving me. He asked me to meet his lawyer here. There was a problem, a mix-up with his lawyer. That's all I can tell you. So, I mean,
and I'm
if he has to
just gonna tell you that
reapply
this
for
has
it.
been adjourned many times.
Well, I don't know that. I'm just here. He asked me to meet his lawyer here. His lawyer has not shown up, and I was unable to get in contact with him, so.
I don't know if I'm going to adjourn it or not. I will talk with
Well,
the
I
attorney.
would hope you would.
I'm-
The only thing I can say on behalf of my friend and the person I work for is that this structure was there when he bought the home. It's
I
not
understand
it's
that.
not an expansion or nothing,
But
so
you have to realize that the public has come out
I understand
many,
that.
many times,
I understand that.
right? And he has not asked for an adjournment. They just
Okay.
don't show.
I know that that's why he sent me here tonight to ask for an adjournment. He's trying to comply with everything. He's complied with some other issues that were at the home, and, you know, financially things are a little tough, and it's hard to get legal representation until
Well-
you can get the money together for that. So that's really the reason that there is no lawyer here. I can be very honest with you. His lawyer is Chris Cassar, and he will be here on the next time if you'd be kind enough to give him an adjournment. That's all I can say to you.
All right. I
Madam
will-
Chair, how many times has it been adjourned?
At least 3 or 4. And it is not fair to the public that has come out. Huh? No, we've never denied it.
Not a couple of years ago?
I thought we denied it without prejudice because they didn't show 2 or 3
Maybe
times in a
without-
row.
I don't think we did it yet. They asked for one more time, and this is the one more time. All right, we'll talk. I'll let you know.
He obviously carried out, do you need these affidavits from this?
Okay.
He was ready to take care of it. I mean,
He doesn't even have,
he was in court last week, took care of some other issues, it's all being taken care of.
you don't even have they don't even have the green cards. Am I correct? Right.
Rick needs his name.
Huh?
Rick needs his name.
Oh, let me, tell the court stenographer your name again.
Sure, it's William J. Majorkurth, Magerkurth.
Okay. Let me just tell you, again, he didn't even send out these notices correctly. He has to have these notices with a receipt returned.
And isn't that what I just provided you
No,
with?
you did not.
No, I gave you, there's about 30 mailings there. We mailed them to all, I was the person that mailed them.
You mailed them, but you have to have a return.
What do you-
Return receipt.
Return receipt, certified mail and return receipt.
Where do I get the return receipts? They send them back to
You have to
me?
ask for it when you apply for the certified mail.
I apologize that, they didn't tell me that. That's what I grabbed, and that's what they told me to do, and
You have to do the mailings all over again.
that's fine. I mean, if we have to do that, I guarantee that he wants to get this resolved. Like I said, he was in court last week, took care of some other
Well,
issues.
I'll let
This-
you know.
I appreciate it.
Leave
That's
it-
all I can say.
You know what? Just write down your name and your phone number, and we will make a decision, and I will let you know.
Very good. I'll go get a business card, I'll bring it in. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
You want to hold this open for now?
Huh?
So, Madam Chair, for the time being, we'll hold this open and move on to the next hearing.
Yeah. I would just advise you, we will make a decision if we're going to adjourn or not. If someone just could call, maybe, in about a week or so? What do you think? How do you want to handle that? I don't want to ask them to come back again if we're not going to adjourn it.
Well, the decision will be made tonight whether or not it's adjourned, right? So they call
Tomorrow, right?
clinic tomorrow.
Pardon me?
They could call
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Why don't you call tomorrow, and we'll let you know if it's being adjourned or not. All right?
Could you ask how many people are here for this?
Yeah.
Look, there's one. Call the planning department. All right? Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's all these people here, 7. All right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Should I start the next?
Yeah,
Or
or let her make sure that they're out and there's no problem.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on, and
Okay. The next case is 16736 Anna Laporta, 1 Map Lane, Carmack, New York. Location northeast corner of Map Lane and Apple Lane, Carmack. Property zoned R10 district. Request, special exception to permit temporary living quarters for a son. Modify a special exception standard to permit a temporary dwelling unit greater than 600 square feet to 1,478 square feet. Waive a special exception standard that requires temporary quarters to be economical and practical to convert the use back to a single-family residence. Modify the special exception standard that requires the floor area ratio to be in compliance with the ordinance, or in other words, to increase the floor area ratio from 25% to 32%. To reduce the minimum front yard setback from 40 feet to 33 feet for a proposed 182 square foot first floor addition. Reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 9 feet for a 205 square foot porch, and increase the maximum paving in the front yard from 25% to 33%.
okay. Let me have your name again.
My name is Anna Laporta,
And your address, Anna?
1 Marpeline, Carmack, New York.
Okay.
I
You
give
swear
it
to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You want your son to speak for you?
Yes.
Okay.
My son is
All right, let me have your name again.
It's Alex Laporta,
Okay, and your address?
1 Map Lane, Comac, New York, 11725.
All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Everything, let me just tell you, you presented your case before, so everything is on the record. You do not need to go through everything else. The only thing that I adjourned it for is that you could read the memo from
The recommendation.
the recommendations. So that, if you would like to now, go over that recommendation, we'll hear about that.
Well, there's a slight issue with the recommendation in the sense that I just received it today at 6 o'clock, and I haven't had time to have a rebuttal to it or.
We couldn't find how to contact you.
Oh.
Um,
phone number on your application.
Really?
There was no address,
There's an address, but there's no phone number.
It's.
and it was not mailed out?
I'm not sure if it was or wasn't. I guess it was not.
The only thing I can address today in this recommendation is the environmental issues that you have, where because it's becoming a two-family dwelling, it would increase the I guess the septic size, to 40,000.
Yeah, but that's not the only,
No, I know that's the only thing I can address today.
all right. You want an adjournment?
Wouldn't you
Yeah, and I was
prefer
going to.
time to digest this and
Yeah.
come back?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
something. I want to prepare something for you, and.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will adjourn it, but I'm not going to give you the next meeting because it is going to be a very long, long meeting, and I don't think you want to sit here for hours.
I learned a lot today, and I don't know
Okay.
how you do it. You guys,
All right, how about September 25th?
September 25th is fine.
Okay. All right, and now that you do have the PAR now, you have that whole thing, right?
I do have the whole thing, and now I can
Okay.
address this.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
You're
madam.
very welcome.
Okay. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Okay, the next case is 16,740. Michael and Barbara Standish, 43 Westwood Lane, Kings Park, New York. Location, south side of Westwood Lane, 75 feet east of Hague Place, Kings Park. Property zoned R10 district. Request, variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 12 feet to 11, and the total side yard from 28 feet to 24 for an existing 318 square foot deck. to increase the maximum paving in the front yard from 25% to 40%, and to increase the maximum paving in the side yard from 25% to 50%.
Okay. May I have your name, please?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Michael Standish, and I live at 43 Westwood Lane, Kings Park.
Okay. Good. Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good. Are you going to speak? Well, okay. All right. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, I'm here to support the application for the variance that has been described. It is an application for a variance on existing work at the premises, which is my home, specifically the front and side yard setbacks. They've been done, I hope, in a way that is at least matches the existing front yard prior to the work being done, and has no undesirable effect on other properties. It has existed for some time, and I think my application is probably best supported by the photographs to show you, for example, that there are mature plantings and bushes adjacent to the side yard in question. As far as there being an alternative, it is already, if you wish, an existing structure, so it's really not possible to achieve the results without breaching the permitted percentage of paving that the zoning laws allow. It's not a substantial variance application because there's no structure involved. Everything is, if you like, at ground level. There's low visibility. We're talking about the concreting and so on. As far as an adverse effect on the environment, I think you're probably aware that this is certainly the front and side yards are similar to what already exists in many properties in the area. I don't think there's anything substantially different in what I have done to what others have done, which leads me to the last issue, which is whether it was self-created, and I have to admit that yes, it was. I was not aware when I did the work that I was breaching the zoning requirements. I have to admit that. But at the same time, in the context of its similarity to other properties, I would not say it's a substantial change.
I have a question. Do you know what year the paving went in?
2007, I believe.
So it wasn't...
It wasn't 1985 or anything like
Okay.
that. Yes, I have to say I was not aware that that I was breaching zoning regulations because I was just doing what I'd seen so many others
The
already
reason
do.
I asked is I know the house is older than 2007.
Yes, it is.
Aware of that. All right. Thank you. Planning,
No comments, thank you.
gentlemen?
No comments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Rainey moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next case.
Okay, the next case is number 16,742. Toys R Us Smithtown Venture LLC, 3,333 New Hyde Park Road, New Hyde Park, New York. Location, intersection of Veterans Memorial Highway and Sunken Meadow Parkway. Comac, property zoned SCB district. Variance to increase maximum wall sign height from 15 feet to 31 feet. I think the location might be more properly noted as the south side of Jericho. The property goes from street to street, but the building fronts on Jericho.
By,
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Isn't
This
this in
is
that
the
shopping?
Toys R Us moved from the old location to next to Target. You're right.
yeah. Okay. May I have your name, please?
It's Ricardo Cervini, Cervini. Do you need the address or?
Yes, I do.
229 Smithtown Boulevard, Nesconset, New York, 11767.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do. Just basically, as you know, that Babies R Us is under construction, and they're expanding, bringing in Toys R Us, and combining both stores. Part of the project was the redesign of the facade and the proposed signage for Toys R Us and Babies R Us. Just a little background: the previous sign, the existing that Babies R Us was approved at 24 feet. That was back in 1997. I'm sure you're probably aware of that. And we're requesting an additional 6 foot 5 inches, which would bring it up to 30 feet 5 inches total. I know it seems substantial, 15 to 30, but I would also like to point out that the face of the building, where the sign will be, is about 670 linear feet away from the road. So, I mean, if you're driving by, it's not going to be, it's a minimal impact, for the cars driving by, you understand. I would also like to point out that this board approved a 40-foot sign for Dick's Sporting Goods back in 2007, which I think that was very substantial. And it's almost similar in this situation. It was probably like 300 to 400 feet away from the road. Ours is less, it's 670, we got about 30 feet. So does the board, you're all familiar with with that sign? Okay.
Very familiar.
So I don't need to give you a photo?
No, we're very familiar. Thank you.
Under those circumstances, I think that, the board should approve this application. Does the board have any questions? No? Okay.
Planning, anything?
No comments, thanks.
Gentlemen?
Do you know what the height of the signs on the rest of, there's a considerable number of stores in that shopping center. Do you know what the typical height of all the other signs are?
Which one?
I believe there's a Target, there's also a King Cullen.
I think I have, I did some research. Let me see here. This one in particular, hold on one second.
Isn't there a new Harbor Freight there, too?
I think it's Sports Authority and Harbor
Sports
Freight.
Authority. No, is it Sports Authority?
This one here, the King Cullen, looks like there was approvals for 24 feet back in 1998, if this is accurate. But what I'm stating that the Dick's Sporting Goods is in the same zoning district, the SCB, and that I believe sets a precedent. It's in.
But that's also like the opposite side of town, as far away from this as you can get and still be in the town. I think it's relevant to know, is this higher than the other signs in the same shopping center?
It will be. But what I'm stressing is that it's in the same zoning district. I think that should play a part.
Well,
and
it
it's
doesn't
600.
really if it's like 8 miles away. I mean, what really matters is the context. In this shopping center, if the previous maximum one was 24 feet high, it wouldn't be fair to allow one to be 31.
Well, did you see the design of the face of the building?
Yes.
So it sounds like that you don't want to approve.
No, I didn't say that. I just meant that I don't think it's relevant to discuss Dick's, because even though it's in the same zoning district, it's hard to say that a zoning district is uniform when it's not continuous from one end of town to the other.
I understand what you're saying. But my point, the distance from the road, I mean, doesn't have an impact how far away
Oh, in
this-
my opinion, absolutely it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought of that before you said it.
Okay, so,
But one
you
of
know,
the
I
other things we try to
understand.
look at is the character of the areas directly around it.
No, I understand.
Because you can be sure that if we approve this one at 31, all the other people in that center are going to come in and want their signs at 31, and then we've effectively changed the character.
Okay.
So I mean,
So
we
then
just try to look at all the things and consider what's right around it, and then try and come up with a fair compromise that
Okay.
doesn't impact.
So, if you're not favorable to the 30 feet, 5 inches, I mean, what's going to be, based on that facade that they're doing right now, actually?
I'm only one person, so I mean,
Yeah.
30 feet may not be that substantial. I mean, I would take a look at it and try to compare it to the other ones and see.
Just one thing I'd like to point out, if you look at the plan, the top of the R, I mean, where the actual lettering, it's actually 12 inches below. I don't know if that plays a part, but we calculated, the plan examiner wanted us to go to the top of the R, which is 30 feet 5 inches, but the actual lettering would be about, to be exact, like 14 inches below the top of that R for Toys R Us, and 17 inches for the Babies R Us. So the actual lettering will be lower if you want to take that into consideration.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that was it.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Right. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Regularly moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, the next case is 16,744 Adam Gauss, 6 Sorrel Lane, Hauppauge, New York. Location west side of Sorrel Hill Lane, 121 feet north of Autumn Drive, Hauppauge. Property zoned R15 district. Request variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 60 feet to 35 feet for an existing 32-foot by 17-foot deck.
Yeah. That's good, huh? Let me have your name, please.
I'm Adam Gauze, and I live at 6 Sorrel Hill Lane in Hauppauge.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
We moved into the house in Sorrel Hill Lane in 1962, and about 5 years later, I enclosed a porch and built a deck. I got a CO for the porch enclosure, but never thought about getting one for the deck. That deck deteriorated. It was wood, and I ripped it down, and about 6 years ago, I built one of Trex material. The deck is in the rear of the house. It does not meet the requirement of the distance to the back property line. There is no environmental impact. Only a small portion of the deck is visible from the street. The only people really that can see the deck are our next door neighbors, three houses. Please give consideration to my request to reduce the minimum setback.
Planning? Gentlemen? Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Really moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. That concludes our hearings for tonight. Thank you so much.